Hey everyone, it's Clint. Happy Monday or Tuesday. I don't know where you are in the world. I know it's Monday night for you. For me, I know for our Aussie friends, New Zealanders, it's Tuesday morning. Thank you so much for joining us for a masterclass that I'm really excited about. Now, if you've been a part of the association for a little while, you would know that I'm a huge fan of applying for business awards. And we've had some amazing results with some of our members over the last couple of years, people who have entered business awards and they're like, oh my God, I won. And then the things that they can do and the way that they can promote and position their studio when they win a local or a kind of nationwide business award is really impactful. So I am so excited to be able to bring you an expert when it comes to finding out about awards, entering awards, and then hopefully finally winning awards. So today we're talking to the lovely Melinda Leishon. Melinda, how are you?
I'm well, thanks. How are you guys?
I'm good. We are great. We are fantastic. I'm just checking on my iPad. We are live, which is awesome. Guys, say hello. Let us know where you're calling in from today. So Melinda, tell us a little bit firstly about you and your business and how you help other small business owners apply for awards and really kind of become the winner.
There's a few little secrets that we can share there. So my business is awards agency. And I think we can go in a little bit in a bit more detail later on about how I kind of came to create awards agency. But the whole idea is to help business owners who are really good at their trade. The challenge with business awards, obviously, is that some of them require written skills. You need business analysis. There's a whole lot of different things that go towards it. So we kind of take the pressure off business owners to do all of that and let them focus on their core business, and we kind of guide them in the right direction. So with awards agency, we can provide strategies for people. So we'll give, for a lot of clients, we'll give them a whole list of awards. We'll do the research and say, okay, what are your business goals for the year? What are your marketing goals? And then we'll go and find the best awards for them to enter and give them an awards strategy. For other clients, we'll develop the entire submission on their behalf. So I'll do a whole lot of research. I'll work with the client and then put that all together and submit it on their behalf. And for others, I'll just do consultations, or I'll do reviews of their existing material. So we're pretty flexible. We do workshops. We're going to put together soon a series of online webinars. Mm-hmm. So there's a whole lot of stuff that we can do, but we're pretty flexible in how we approach things.
Yeah, awesome. Melinda, why are awards a good thing for us to research, find out about, and enter? Like, what can winning an award or being a finalist in an award actually do for our local business?
They do heaps. They do so much more than you realise. I think they give you a lot of credibility. So it's third-party credibility. It's all good and well in your marketing to kind of say we are the best in the business, we're, the suburb's number one, or the industry's number one. But an award gives you the kudos to kind of back it up. It also means you're accredited by someone independently. So I think that kind of holds a lot more weighting as well. The other thing that's really good about business awards is that they really do give you an opportunity to kind of step back and review where you've come from, what you've achieved, I guess, and go back and look at really, I guess, what you've done over the past 12 to 18 months, depending on what the timing criteria is. And it gives you a good chance to kind of strategize then for the future. So you can kind of say, oh my God, we did this, and look at the results. So now sometimes your brain will click in and go, okay, well, maybe we can build on this next year and deliver X, Y, Z. So often they're a really good tool for you to kind of build on your business planning.
Yeah, I love it. It's great. I feel like sometimes awards are like a best kept secret. Like there's so many awards that we can apply for. There's lots of things out there, but how do we really start to research the awards that are in our area, that are in our city? How do we know what's out there? Are there websites? So we have to get really good at Googling. If I'm a studio owner and I want to find out, okay, what awards would be great for me to enter? How do I find out?
How do you do it?
Yeah.
Okay, so the first thing is, get really good at Googling. So have a look and Google your butt off. Have a look at everything. Have a look at your competitors. So do a bit of a competitor analysis and kind of see exactly if others are using awards as marketing tools, what awards are they using? So go and have a look at that. Go and have a look at your industry. So if you've got a lot of industries have industry awards. So have a look at your industry and see what awards they do. Have a look at your local area. So if you're a member of any local networking groups or governance groups. So in Australia, we have chambers of commerce. Have a look. They often have awards. If you want to go to, I guess, a more statewide or regional or national level or international, there are a lot of international awards as well. Google is often your best friend. So you've just got to kind of narrow your searches and really get in there. One thing I'm doing at the moment, if I could do a shameless plug, is on the awards agency website, we're actually building an award finder tool. So that's almost up and running. We're just in the midst of populating that. So we've actually gone and done all the research and found all of these awards. We've got thousands of them that are all international. They're from all over the world.
Wow.
And they're across all industries. And so you can search via your industry. So that'll be up and running in the next, hopefully, I'd say in the next month. Yeah, awesome. So that'll be a good tool.
Awesome. I love it. So we find a whole bunch of awards. I think the really time-consuming thing for a lot of people is actually applying for them and really working out what do we put in our application and what do we leave out? What are some of the mistakes that you've seen people make who go and enter awards? What things are they doing that you're like shaking your head out going, you shouldn't be doing that. Yeah, tell us, what are some of those mistakes?
So I guess I'm a judge as well. So I sit on both sides of the fence. Like I put the submissions together, and I've got a good success rate. I should say that's why I started awards agency. So I'm well above the 90%. Sometimes I hit about 96, 97% in terms of success rate. So that's pretty cool. So as a judge, from the flip side, I kind of then can see what I think people shouldn't be doing. One of the big things is in your language. So it is really hard. The first thing to do is always speak in the first person, never speak in the third person. So what you want to do is you want to create that rapport with the judge. You want to kind of go, I did this and I did that, or we did this and we've done that. As soon as you say Melinda Leishon is an award-winning blah, 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 you're putting a gap and a space between the reader and yourself. So you really want to draw them in. You want to get them to lean into your story. The other thing that people do is, okay, and look, this may be an assumption. I don't know the membership base, how many women versus males you have. I don't know.
We have 98% women.
Okay, so there you go. So one of the things that we're taught about as women is to be modest. We're always taught from a very young age to be modest, keep your legs together or, pull your skirt down, all that kind of stuff. But it's also with your language, everything that you do, we've got to be modest. And so it is really hard to come out of your shell and kind of go, okay, how can I write a submission and answer these questions and tell everyone how awesome we are while still retaining that modesty that that's been culturally embedded in me. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the big mistakes that people make. I think they kind of take themselves back a little bit and they don't know how to kind of, I guess, transgress that gap between modesty and really selling themselves. And the way that I do it is, and this is my secret weapon, is with facts. So what you do instead of saying, okay, Melinda Leishon, or I'm an awesome awards writer and I do X, Y, Z and I really, rock the Casbah, I would sit and I would go, okay, my name's Melinda Leishon. I deliver award submissions for my clients. I have a 97% success rate, blah, blah, blah. So all of a sudden I'm bringing in the evidence to show them this is why I'm good at what I do. Mm. So what you would do is, you would kind of go, okay, we engage with our clients. So this is our Facebook engagement statistics. This is, everything that you do, you bring in the facts, you bring in the evidence. So you say what you've done, but then you show them how. And I think that's a really great way to overcome the modesty, is to kind of go, all right, yes, I'm good at what I do, but how do I show them that I'm good at what I do? Because then you're not kind of talking yourself up and just talking yourself up.
Yeah, there's proof. You're not just saying, hey, I'm amazing, look at me. You're saying, hey, this is one of our core values. This is what we're passionate about and this is how we bring it to our customers and these are the results that we're getting.
And the thing is, it removes the ick factor. It totally removes the ick factor, because that ickiness is all about saying, yes, I'm good at what I do. But you can remove that completely by saying, well, the evidence says that I'm good at what I do. I've got a customer retention rate of X percent. All of these little things that you kind of think about. And that's what I was saying before about how you don't realise really the little gems and the nuggets in your business until you go and you look and submit put together an awards nomination. And then you kind of go, okay, so I've got a really good customer retention rate. Or, conversely, you might kind of go, oh, actually, my customer turnover rate is pretty high. What can I do to improve that? And then, of course, you're strategizing for the next year, which will deliver you, obviously, improvements in your business.
Yeah, totally. When it comes to kind of writing the awards, what happens if we're not a really great writer?
Do you know, it depends. Okay, so I can say from an awards business perspective, they will always say it's okay. We understand that, you might be a mechanic, you might be an electrician, you may be a lawyer, an accountant, any of these things, and that's okay. We're not judging you on your language. The reality is, as a judge, I can tell you that it impacts on the readability. So it impacts if you don't have language that flows, if you don't have a really good, consistent story, if you don't write it well, then I can't lean into you. I can't kind of connect with you. I can't get I can't get immersed in your story. And so it does have an effect. To me, it certainly does have an effect because judging is certainly, it's not an emotive process, because when we judge, we've got a whole list of criteria that we will go through and look at, and everyone is rated, it's an even playing field, and we'll kind of rate everyone against certain criteria per question and look at how you've answered the question and whether you've answered all the parts of the question and all of that kind of stuff. But from an emotional perspective, of course, you are going to kind of lean into a story more if you can jump on board kind of with that business and with that company.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about, you just mentioned, a judging criteria, and I'm assuming there's a lot of different criteria depending on the award that you're judging for, but what are some of those common themes that come through when it comes to judges, ticking their boxes? What are they really looking for? And for you as a judge, like, what stands out to you and what makes you go, okay, we've got to take these people through to the next stage?
Okay, so one of the big things is answering the question. So a lot of people won't answer the question. They'll waffle and they kind of get off track. And it can be difficult because what you need to do is really look at the questions, and many questions are a two-part question. So they might say, explain blah, 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 and describe blah, blah, blah. So you've got to, explain and describe, or you've got to, they might kind of say, talk us through your goals for the business year, the strategies you use to achieve them, and the outcomes. So what I would do to respond to that would then have 3 columns and say goals, strategy, outcomes, because then for a judge, they can go tick, tick, tick. Whereas if you just write a whole lot of waffle, that's not kind of it's not as ordered as easily as or simply as it could be, then it's harder for the judge to wade through. So for a judge, I'm looking for simplicity, because you've got to remember that I might have 40 different applications to go through, and some of them might be quite extensive. So you really want to be, you want to make sure you answer the question and you do it as succinctly as you possibly can, and you want to answer all of the components of the question. So if that question was worth 6 points and you only went through and gave me your goals and your outcomes and you didn't describe how you got there, then the most I could award you would be 4 out of the 6 points. So you've got to make sure that you answer all of those questions. But not answering the question is probably a really big one. But for me, it always comes down to the evidence. If you don't provide evidence, then it's really difficult to kind of, to kind of understand exactly, exactly how the organisation delivered the outcomes that it did.
Yeah, makes complete sense. And should we, I guess one of the questions that has come up before in the association is, how much should we write? Should we have a paragraph? And I know, again, it's going to depend on the question. Should we write more or less, or is the aim really, like you just said, answer the question, and whether you can do that in a paragraph with supporting evidence or social proof, or it takes you 10 paragraphs? what are your thoughts on length? Because I know, hey, studio owners, don't get offended, but I know you guys like to talk and write a lot of stuff.
Don't we all?
So, right. And so what's your advice around that?
Okay, so my first thing is always look at the word count. So a lot of them now, a lot of submissions over the last, I'd say 12 to 24 months, most of them have moved into an online format. So with that comes word count limits. So always look at your word count. The other thing to look at is that make sure you prepare well in advance if you've got a word count, and test out the platform, because some platforms will count a space as a letter. Others will count a full stop as a letter if they're doing character counts. So you've got to be well aware. Don't just rely on Word or whatever other program you're using to do your counting in. Where was I going with that? Where did I lose myself?
No, that's okay. I was just asking.
Oh, word count. Yes.
Yeah, like so, waffly, yeah. Short.
No, never waffle. Never, but never. So you want to try and pull it back as tightly as you can. And what you want to do is use bullet points, lists and headings. So wherever you can. So break it up into manageable chunks. So if a judge is going to skim, which they shouldn't be doing, but you just don't know who you've got on your judging panel. And so if they're going to skim, you want them to be able to at least see the important bits. So where you can use bold, use bold. Where you can use italics and emphasis, use emphasis. But don't waffle, be as succinct as you can. And even if you kind of do a paragraph and explain something and then have a sentence in bold that kind of pulls it all together with your evidence as one, to tie it all up, do that. But yeah, definitely stay away from the waffle.
Stay away from the waffle. I love it.
Don't waffle. And it's my biggest thing. I waffle. I put together a submission last week for a client that we had a 12,500 word count limit, and I wrote 21,000 words, and so I had to cull it in half. And if that's not waffling, I don't know what is. And I thought it was impossible, but it was possible. It just turned out that I'd waffled. It just means that you can focus a lot more on the facts and the evidence.
Yeah, we've got guys, and while you're listening, if you've got any questions, please, any questions from Melinda, post them in the comment section. Sarah, one of our Inner Circle members, has got a question. Is there any award companies you want to avoid, like a fake or bad reputation company that may be offering it for the wrong reasons? For example, they make you pay up front for a submission. Is that normal?
Yes. So that's a two-part question. Yes, there are some awards that I would avoid. So some of them are popularity contests. There are some awards out there that purely, you don't have to put a submission together. You don't have to do anything like that. It's purely based on customer voting. So for me, they're not, they are a popularity contest. It really will come down to how many people that you can kind of get together to vote on your behalf, whether it's, it really comes down to, what's your social media reach compared to your competitors, all of that kind of stuff. So to me, they don't hold as much value. Industry awards hold a lot more value than anything like that, than a voting than a mere voting kind of award. Payment, yes, that's a common thing. A lot of awards programs are still free, but there are some, particularly industry ones, that will make you pay upfront for an entry fee. And I think for them, it's becoming more and more of a business. Business awards are becoming more and more of a business rather than I think they first started it as a marketing tool that was providing back to industry members to kind of, to recognise and reward them. And I think they've become very commercialised. And so, unfortunately, and there's nothing wrong with that, with having to pay your entry fee. So that doesn't necessarily mean that it's dodgy. So one of the biggest ones internationally, you've got the Stevie Awards, you've got to pay for those. You've got like design awards that you've got to pay for. There's a whole lot of different awards that you've got to pay.
Yeah, I think it's, it really comes down to doing the research.
Yes.
Looking at their past, the past awards that they've ran, looking at the recipients who have won those awards.
And the quality of those recipients, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. Sarah Beth's got a question here as well. I think finding where to apply for the awards is difficult. Your resource you mentioned, Melinda, sounds great. Do you have any ideas on good keywords for Google searches?
Okay, so for you guys, I mean, you could just try with dance studio awards, dancing awards, if depending on where you're located, international dancing awards, best dance awards, dance awards USA. I would search for dancing award winners, all of that kind of stuff as well, because if you've got the winner in there, you might kind of pick up some of your competitors who are advertising that they're winning.
Yeah, I would also look at like your local area awards and then your state awards and then, you know, service-based business awards. Like think about the industry as well that you're in. Just to kind of cast the net, because there's not a lot in the dance studio space.
Okay, so if there's not a lot in dancing, then yeah, you'd need to cast your net a little bit wider and look there. So, depending on where you are, you've got there's a lot of local business awards around. The challenge with them is that often the dance studios would fall into a very general category. So you won't be compared against other dance studios. You might be compared against other service-based businesses or anything like that. But again, nothing's impossible. You know, you just, as long as you put your submission together, you know, tightly and succinctly and back yourself up with evidence and testimonials and facts, you know, you're off to a flying start. But yeah, I think that's why we've kind of tried to do all of this research and we've pulled all of these awards together into the one, because what was happening for us is that a lot of our clients wanted us to develop strategies for them. So whether they be 6 or 12 month strategies, we would sit with them and kind of go, you know, okay, so what are your marketing goals for the year? And, you know, what's your target audience and how are we going to attract them? And then we would go away and research the awards that were best suited to do that. So whether it was, you know, the fastest growing company, you know, or whatever, the B&T, the, you know, under 30 kind of guys, anything like that, we would go away and research and work out how they would be best positioned. And that's why we kind of thought if we put a tool together that helps, you know, goes and finds all those awards for us and draws it into one place, that'll help. So hopefully that will end up being your first point of call.
Yeah, that sounds like an amazing resource for our studio owners. I'm just checking, guys, if you've got any other questions for Melinda, please post them. Melinda, I wanted to ask you about, once we've applied and let's say we become a finalist or we're now at that time of voting, see a lot of people posting on social media like, vote for us, vote for us, vote for us. What are some of the things that we can do once we are into that next stage and we need to get votes? Let's say it's a public vote or part of it is a public vote. What are some good strategies on getting our tribe behind us and voting for us?
Okay, so, and I should say there is nothing wrong with that whole public vote thing as long as that is not as long as that's the only component of your business awards. And I should actually say there is one award that and this is the reason why the whole voting thing leaves a bad taste in my mouth, is because there's one award system that you just have to nominate 5 of your customers and their phone number. This company will ring them. They kind of rate you out of whatever, and then you win your category. And for me, you could be giving them your grandmother's number, your mother's number, your brother's number, who are all going to rate you 10 out of 10. For me, that's why it doesn't hold much weighting. For the other ones, where you might have a 2-part component where you need to get votes to get into the final or to get to the next stage, or vice versa, I would use social media, definitely social media. Use your EDMs. So get your EDMs out there. Even put together some kind of incentive. So, you know, if people can share it on their page, you know, they can go into the draw to win something. You know, give them incentives and a reason to kind of do it. There's a whole lot of different things, but I would really focus on social. I think social is because it's easier. People are already online. They're already engaged. Provide the link for them. So the main thing that you can do, the best thing you can do is make it easy for them. So provide the link. All they've got to do is click, and that's it. And just, keep going and going and going.
Yeah, I love it. It's great. What else would you say to our studio owners, Melinda, who maybe haven't dived into this before, you know, and it's brand new and they're a bit like, you know, deer in the headlights? What tips do you have for first timers who are about to seek out and then apply for awards that we're thinking about?
So what I normally do is sit down. You got to remember that the first few award submissions are definitely the hardest. They're always going to be the hardest because you've got to get all of this evidence from all the different parts of your business. So a submission might not look just at what you do as a dance studio in terms of what you provide to your clients, but it might look at how you manage your staff, how your finances are, what kind of growth you have, how you engage with your clients, what kind of marketing strategies you use. There's a whole lot of different things that they're going to look at. And so you've got to be across all of those areas of your business, and you've got to find evidence from all of those areas of your business. So it is going to be really daunting, but it's worth persevering with. During the course of the year, what I do, I call it my Rock the Casbah folder. I keep this little folder, I've got a digital one, and I scan things, and I've got hard copy. Whenever clients, send testimonials or give me gifts or send flowers, everything, like I'll save it. I'll save photos. I've just got a phone coming through. I will save everything in my I Rock the Casbah folder. And then over the next, when I put together my next submission, I've kind of got it all there, and it's easy to kind of go back and go, oh, I forgot about that. And it can kind of trigger your memory. So as you move forward, that's a really good tool. The other thing is if you're really constant on social media is a really good way to go back through your Facebook page and kind of trigger your memories about what you've achieved over the last 12 months. So you're not kind of starting always from a blank page. Use what you can. And then kind of build on it. And don't think that you've got to write this amazing Shakespearean novel for the first time. Just get a foundation down and get a structure down, and then build on it. Year on year, you just build on it. And then you'll be fine. Don't try and be too daunted. The one thing I would say though is if you do win, use it to your advantage. So write press releases, get it out there, share it with your industry. One thing, if we've got time, I can quickly share with you is how I got into awards with, I don't know. Sorry, this phone won't stop. Have we got 2 minutes to go through that story? Yeah. Okay. So I'll give you a quick overview. So 10 years ago, before I had children, I was in corporate and I was off, spending a lot of time overseas, and my husband bought a mechanical workshop and I left him to kind of do it. He's a brilliant mechanic. He went and kind of ran it, did his own thing. I was off doing my thing. He kind of said to me at one point, after a bit, oh, look, do you mind if I stop taking the wage? Money's a bit tight, blah, blah, blah. Of course, that was no issue. That continued for a while until I ended up being on maternity leave and kind of went, okay, the idea was always that, I would go back to work and he would be a stay-at-home dad and we'd put someone in to run the workshop. But of course I changed my mind and wanted to be with my daughter. So the problem was that I didn't realise, because I'd taken no interest in the business, that the business was in a really bad way. And we'd lost $80,000 in the first year, and we'd lost, $120 the second year, and we were propping it up with my income. And obviously that wasn't a good situation. So with no marketing budget, I brought my 6-month-old into the business and sat and kind of went, okay, what are we going to do? How are we going to get around this? And the one thing I started to do, apart from putting processes and procedures and systems in place and KPIs for the team and all of that kind of stuff, was I started applying for business awards. And I was honest about our story and what had happened. And I told them the journey about how we'd lost this. But then every year, as we kind of progressed and grew and developed, I would retell the story and tell how we built on that. And with these awards, we ended up getting incredible exposure. So because we won all but one. And so we became really well known in the local community. I wrote press releases, I shared it on social. For me, it was the most incredible marketing tool. I ended up being like an ambassador for WorkCover New South Wales, which, in Australia is like a statewide thing. We were the most awarded mechanical workshop in Australia. We won industry awards, we won local, state, national awards. And all for us, it was not about having a pat on the back. For me, it was about using it as a marketing tool. We were a company who had absolutely no money left and nothing to pay towards marketing. And for me, it was a really good tool. So if you're in a similar position and you're kind of going, okay, how do I push myself forward, or how do I stand out from everyone else, they're a really good, particularly the ones that are local and that you don't have to kind of pay for. They're a really good, inexpensive way of promoting your business, because for me, that was the main driver for us really increasing our local profile. And I guess our industry profile. We were featured on a current affair in a good way, in the Sydney Morning Herald, which is one of our main papers. We had big spreads, a big, central spread. Like, we got heaps of free exposure from it. And I think that's the goal. If you can if you win, or even if you're a finalist, write press releases, share it within your industry, do stuff and get it out there, and make the most of it, because, it's free publicity.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks so much for sharing that with us. Very inspiring and nice to see the journey that you've taken, and that you're helping so many business owners now shine the spotlight on what they do, because I know our studio owners are working very, very hard. And so the recognition as well around, awards, I think is fantastic. Melinda, give us the details of where our studio owners can find you, find out more about kind of your services and what you offer.
Yep, sure. They can have a look at www.awardsagency.com.au. Our awards finder tool is not up and running yet, but you can certainly register to be one of the first to know when it is. But you can shoot me an email, you can contact me on there. Have a look and see if you like the look and the feel of what we do. And then, I'd love to have a chat and see if I can help anyone at any time.
Awesome. Melinda, well, thank you so much for taking the time out to speak with our DSOA members today. So great to connect with you, and appreciate you sharing your wisdom around applying for awards.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.
Good luck to everyone.
Thank you, Melinda. Take care.
Thanks. You too. Bye.
Bye. Awesome, guys. So that was our time with the wonderful Melinda. I hope you enjoyed that. A couple of questions that I just wanted to quickly go through. So Bethlyn, you asked, I've got my handy iPad here, thank goodness. Bethlyn asked, are awards the same thing as grants? The answer is no. Grants are very different. You apply for a grant generally for money. They're different things. Awards are awards, grants are grants. So if you're looking for a grant for money, a lot of the time it is public, so it's through government. Occasionally it's not, but you can check that out. But awards, definitely something that everyone inside of the association needs to get comfortable with and needs to start really exploring. Debbie, we answered this question, but you might have come on late. All the awards applications are free, correct? We should not be applying for anything that asks for money. No, there are a lot of great awards out there that will cost you money to apply for, because they're putting on the awards. Like, you've got to think with awards, generally as a business model, they're getting money from sponsors that pay for the applications and for going through the awards and the judging. But a lot of times as well, as they'll ask you, great awards are going to ask you for a fee to apply. It also makes sure that there's a good quality of applicants coming through on their end, because they're people that are willing to pay and put in the time for the application. So there are some awards that you will need to pay for. But as Melinda said, please do all of your research. Do your research. So I hope you've enjoyed this masterclass with Melinda. We've talked not a huge amount about awards, but you know that I've mentioned it before in podcasts and different trainings. So I'm hoping this has just reignited your energy and inspiration around applying for local awards. They're important. You can leverage them. You can put them on your website. I was working with a private client about 2 weeks ago, and they've won a really great award a few times. And so we were going through their website, and I was giving them some feedback on where things should be on their website. And we moved the awards section right up to the very, very top. It's important that you have that social proof and credibility right away. Can go on social, can go in the cover photo. You can have your award badges there. It can be, you can talk about it in the initial email that someone gets when they've inquired about your dance studio. There's just so many places you can use it. So please definitely utilize it. It's super important. So Debbie's saying, got it. Thank you, Debbie. So welcome, one of our Inner Circle members. Karen, another Inner Circle member. Hey, guys, Inner Circle is representing tonight. I've seen Sarah was on the call. Awesome. Love seeing our Inner Circle crew here. So hopefully that's it. If you've got any more questions, please post them below and the team will get to you and answer them. But in the meantime, have a great evening. It's evening for me, 7:30, or day or midday or late night, wherever you are. Thanks for joining us. Just a reminder as well, if you have not registered for Dance Studio Recharge, it's our brand new training that starts next week. I'm doing 5 days. There's a workbook. It's going to be pretty crazy. We've been planning this training for a couple of months now. I know some of you have not registered for it. And just because you're an association member doesn't mean you're actually going to get the content. So you need to register for Recharge. Mel, if you're watching this, do you mind posting the link, please? dancestudioownersassociation.com/recharge. Make sure you join that training if you want my 5 days plus my workbook that I'm going to be going through next week. Super excited. Can't wait to get started. And guys, guess what? We are nearly in September. Crazy, right? Friday is the 1st of September. I know a lot of you are going back to dance. A lot of you are just over halfway through your dance year if you're in Australia or New Zealand. So now is the time to put the foot on the accelerator, but you really want to ensure you're working on the right things that are going to move your business forward, not the things that just take up time in your day. Thank you. Lovely Mel has posted the link for you. Jump on that now. If you're watching this, jump on the link. But in the meantime, I'll see you really soon inside the association. Take care and chat soon. Bye.